incoming message.
Hello? I can't hear you, but you can hear me, right?
We interrupt to bring you this.
We've hijacked your daily dose of regurgitated news to bring you Navigating the Truth. Brace yourself, listeners, as you're about to enter a world where the narrative is no longer masqueraded as the truth. A world where the conspiracies of yesterday's translate into the truths of today.
Are you listening?
The veils covering the truth are lifting, and understandings once suppressed are finally being revealed.
Will you be ready?
And now, your host and navigator through these circles of lies, the host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Hi, welcome to Navigating the Truth on the 16th of April, Sunday. It is evening where I am, and it is morning in Las Vegas, and I have a really awesome guest with me today, and it's very early in the morning, so I'm very grateful that he's up early and we are doing the show. And I want to thank the listeners who have decided to join us today. There is a donation button on the website. If you like what you're hearing, click that donate button. There's a lot of really excellent shows here. And let me tell you about our guest. Today I have Darius J Wright. Darius has been awake to the nature of this reality since he was a small child. At the young age of just 16, Darius was taken during sleep outside this construct by a being who identified themselves as Celeste. Celeste showed him not just his future, but the future of this reality, and many of us in it. Darius has had numerous out-of-body experiences over the years and explored various realms and met a variety of beings who have shared insights and information with him. He now has dedicated his time here to teaching people and doing what they call the great work, which is waking people up to the other side. I'd like to welcome Darius. Welcome to Navigating the Truth.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It is my pleasure. And I have, I kind of found you, I don't know, maybe a year ago, maybe a little less. And I was just so interested in what you were sharing. And I just thought to myself, you were just cutting through a lot of the nonsense, because what I have found is there is a lot of information out there, but a lot of it is confusing. Like using different terms for the same thing.
Yeah, that's something that I noticed when I was doing the out-of-body stuff, is that a lot of the stuff that I was researching, when I had them, right, the out-of-body, to realize that it was nothing like what people were saying at all. And that's where I think, I know that a lot of people don't really know.
Right. It's
sort of like, it's sort of like they're just talking based off of what other people have shared, not speaking of firsthand experience. And a lot of the stuff is not true related to the out-of-body state, based off my experience of doing it hundreds of times since, you're talking about since 16, really, to present day.
Yeah. So for some of the listeners who don't know what astral travel is, or out-of-body experience, how about you break it down for them?
Yeah, so I don't like to classify it as astral or lucid dreaming, because the out-of-body state, when I refer to that, a lot of people couple it in with astral travel and stuff like that, but it's actually nothing to do with that. When you are dreaming or lucid dreaming, your consciousness I like to refer to it as the other side, is only about 50% there. That's why you can't bring in the full detail. There's fragments. It's like a dream, right? So you have a dream, you can't bring in everything in. Now, when you properly leave your body, And in particular, when you do it where you are 100% out, it is the same thing as having a near-death experience, but you're doing it controlled. Now, typically, when you do this, you will enter sleep paralysis. A lot of people have sleep paralysis and they don't even understand what that is. Sleep paralysis is the initial stages of leaving your body. Now, when you leave your body, this is why I said before, based off my experience of doing this, I've come to the conclusion that a lot of people have not actually experienced this or done it before, because when you actually leave, it is more physical, it is more real, and it is more dense. And I'm harping on dense because it is more dense than having a physical body when you exit the body. And this is something when people experience is a shock factor. It was a shock factor for me, because you would think it would be the opposite, but as I say, it's dense. It's also all the pleasures of physicality with no limitation. When you leave your body controlled, you get access to everything the more that you do it. And the things that I've gained access to is the records. Now the records go into the records of the realm that we're in now, and also outside of the construct completely. It goes into the memories of what people call past lives, what are also part of those records. You get access to things like the halls of Amente. All of these places exist here, but they're just in another dimensional space that could only be accessed when you take the soul out of the body. Right? You could get contact with other beings. I've spoken to my uncle that has passed away almost 5 years ago. So you could contact dead relatives. A host of different beings exist there that you could contact. So to summarize it, it's essentially you're having a near-death experience control. That's what an out-of-body is, and that's what I've been doing now for quite some time. And I've learned how to do this controlled, where, even before coming on this call, this radio show, doing this, just tonight, I've popped out of my body 5 times.
Wow.
In that night. And it was me also viewing time. I was seeing time bending, all those things. I mean, we're going to talk about this all, but that's a summary, the best way I could do it.
Yeah. And when I had spoke to you briefly the other day there, it is a shock, because you're wholly who you are. And I think that was the big shocker for me. It wasn't the dream personality or just a little piece of me. It was everything, every single part of me. And I was confused about it the first time or one of the times that it happened, when I was literally out and somewhere else. It was the whole, I knew I was me. I wasn't questioning it. I was and all the ideas that I have, or the beliefs that I would, letting them go. But that was the shocker. That was the shocker for me. There wasn't any, there was no deception.
Well, that's where, that's something that also shocked me as well. A lot of people think, when they cross over, or death, or the out-of-body state, which is, it's all the same, right? A lot of people think when you do that, or you cross over to the other side, that somehow what people call your personality, your soul, what makes you, all your thoughts, everything that you've thought, who you are, that all comes with you. It's all there. The personality doesn't change. Some people are underneath this belief that when you do, you do become more, because you're gaining more access to information that has always been there. But your personality comes with you. Everything, who you are, every thought that you had. And that's one of the biggest, when I came out, I'm like, oh my God, exactly who I am, my personality, consciousness exists outside the body. And when also you come out of the body as well, this is what I want people to understand too, is through these experiences that I've had, when you end up coming out fully and completely, you'll end up standing up. And when you turn around, like I said, it's almost like your soul holds an imprint of your physical body. So when you come out, and how I already said before, how it's more physical, more dense, and more real, it feels like you're walking in your physical body, while at the same time, you could access multidimensional spaces, time itself. Not only that, when you look back at the bed, you will see your physical body still sleeping. Mm-hmm. And this will put a lot of people into fear and shock of like, oh, I'm dead. When you're not, you're just having an out of body. But there is density there, and the personality, everything goes with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a shocker. That was a definite shocker. And that was also like one of the things that made me realize how very real the other realms are. Because I hadn't become somebody else. Like, it wasn't like a dream personality. It was actually me. It was wholly me. But I used to have the feeling like many, many years ago, and I was, I had this sense that every time I went to sleep, I died. Every night I died. And I kind of wonder if like, well, I don't wonder. I kind of know that I was doing it, but there was some kind of barrier that prevented me from remembering or accessing like the information that I might have gained when I was there. But I had the sense that I was dying every night, in a sense.
Yeah, well, this is where it goes into also when you're trying to, this is where it goes into also the health as well, the health of the body. Now, the thing is, when you share that, right, mm-hmm. you're still, to allow everybody to understand this, a near-death experience, an out-of-body experience, a lucid dream, and a dream, mm-hmm. they're different, yes, in terms of how you experience them. But in terms of accessing the other side, mm-hmm. Everybody's doing that every single night when they go to sleep. But right. why aren't people remembering it? Like, for instance, right. mm-hmm. like you have an experience, but you can't bring back that. You can't bring back that minute detail. Mm-hmm. This is how I've come to understand this, right?
Yeah.
When you end up leaving, right? And mm-hmm. let's just say if the health of the body isn't primed and ready, it fries out your central nervous system. And this is based off experience. When I find, and I'm a healthy person, but mm-hmm. I find when I'm in my out-of-body states and I'm accessing all these records and information in the true universe, when I come back into the body, because that state that I'm in is very real, and mm-hmm. I have access to all of the detail. When I come back into the body, if the body is not properly hydrated, not properly taken care of, it fries out your central nervous system, because our soul is connected through the central nervous system. It connects through every aspect of the body. So when the soul leaves the body and you access this information and you bring it within the body, if the body is not prepared for that, typically what happens is you will get sick, or you will be basically burnt out for like I remember I was doing this, I went about a week of doing it every single day, and I was going too hard, too fast of accessing information and doing this, where it burnt out my body for about a month. A good month I was completely fried. Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand why. And that's the reason why also the health matters as well. Not necessarily for the aesthetics or any of that. It just, basic health is essential when you are awakening the dormant abilities within your body to access that which we all have access to, right?
Well, yeah,
So,
yeah, that makes sense. Like the health of the body is important. Because that is the energy that is well, it's keeping us here, it's keeping us functioning, but it also helps with our electromagnetic field. It helps with it does. It's very important, and the unfortunate thing about it is we're being poisoned, and it's a constant battle to actually remain in a healthy state.
yeah, it is, because they're doing it on all fronts too. So this is why it's even like it's more. There has to be a lot of effort, well, more effort than is actually normally required in an ideal realm, right?
Yeah.
But I like to present it like this. What to people that don't understand, because it actually took me a little bit, even though I'm healthy. It took me. I was like, because I was accessing all this information in the out of body state, and I'm asking myself, I'm like, wait a second, why does it really matter? Why does it matter if my body's healthy? It doesn't matter, because I'm leaving my body, and I have physicality over there, and the body doesn't matter. Consciousness exists outside of the body. My personality, everything, my soul. So why do I have to even give this even 1% of my energy, the physical vessel? And it actually took me about 3 months to actually, fully understand why. The reason why is, why do you think there's such an aggressive effort on destroying the health of the body? Why do you think there's such an aggressive effort of forcing chemicals, vaccines, all these things that actually destroy the DNA of the physical body to access that which it has a God-given right to access? Yeah. That is their number one push, is to diminish your health. Because when you become weak physically in a realm like this, you become weak spiritually. It's all connected, right? The physical body and your soul is connected, and they should be treated as such. Even so much so, when you access, when I was in the halls of Amente accessing the records, in a point of time in this realm, they've known that as well. You'll see a lot of awakened souls with all their dormant abilities activated within the physical body, that their bodies were on par with their with their spiritual development. It is so vital to be conscious about your health, because it is what they're forcing or trying to destroy. And they're actually have done a pretty good job at it thus far, because when the health of the body is primed, your central nervous system, everything is running and purring properly, everything turns on. Everything within your body turns on. All of these dormant abilities awaken and could be remembered and done much more easily. And the information from the other side comes within the body more easily as well. Even on the other side as well, like I said before, you have physicality there. And even though it doesn't have the distortions of the physical body here, like I said before, it's all the pleasures of physicality with no limitations. But even there, it works differently. If your frequency, your energetic field is off, it will even have an effect on you over there.
Right.
Right. So as above, so below, as within, so without. I know that's, saying biblical things here, but that's really how it is. Yeah, it's true.
It's the truth. Yeah. Yeah, and like that is one of the things that I feel is really important, is like in these I don't even want to say times, because I don't think there's been a time like this ever. The health of the body. You had mentioned adding a little salt to water. I had heard you mention that, and I actually started doing it, and I actually felt much clearer.
So
Sorry.
So Oh, I thought you were done. That's why I started talking. Um, but the salt is in this. All right, because of where we're at now. Personally, I could speak of my abilities, and I'm not speaking of this as a way as me. The thing is, many people are experiencing all of these energetic things that are happening, awakening within them. That's not just me, it's everybody. We're in a certain state right now where people are getting access to the true universe, the true nature of reality, how it works. People are getting access to that. And what the body needs is for the central nerve, for that information to come through. So the central nervous system needs to be soothed for all that information to come through. The best way to do that is salt and water, because it helps everything flow a lot more effectively, especially when you're bringing in the information from the other side within the physical vessel.
And yet the dogma in this realm would tell you that salt and water is not necessarily good for you. Like the instance of seawater, like you can't drink that. But it's actually the nutrient itself is missing for your bodies. It's being depleted on some level.
Yeah, the salt is. I basically have right now. This is me, and I'm not giving medical advice or anything like that. But for me personally, what I do based off what I'm doing, the out of body states, the things that I'm accessing, I do half of a teaspoon of salt in my water every half a liter of water, because it's more of the minerals that are within salt that the body needs in order for, with what I'm doing in the place that we're in, for information to come within the body a lot more easily without frying it out.
Right, and we don't want to fry it. Can you believe it? We're coming up on our first break. We also have a question from Sherry, but I'll answer it when we come back. So hold on, listeners. We're coming up on a 3-minute break, and we will be right back. Today, and we were just talking before the break about the importance of getting necessary minerals and nutrients into your body. And we had a question. Sherry. Hi, Sherry. Thanks for asking a question. And it is, what kind of salt, regular salt or sea salt? Darius.
So what I use, and before I even answer that, I just wanted to say as well, based off research that I've done, which is also available for people to do as well. There was actually a doctor that mentioned salt, right? And he was saying that it is more dangerous to have too little salt and sodium in your body than too much of it. Salt is a very important mineral to have, in particular to everything that I've already stated before with access to all the dormant ability stuff. Now, for the salt that I use 3 types of salts, and it's not necessarily that I use them because, well, one is kind of better, but they're pretty much all the same, sort of. But it's sea salt, Himalayan salt, and Redmond salt. And just when you buy salt, try to make sure that it doesn't go through like this process. Anything that's heavily processed, you shouldn't be eating. And that's including anything, not just salt, that's food as well, because the process itself is what causes the issues. Salt gets a bad rap because what people consider salt, what they're ingesting, what processed food is the stuff that you don't want to be ingesting. Just like how sugar gets a bad rap when people say sugar is a bad thing. No, sugar isn't really bad. I mean, if you're eating sugar in its natural form through fruit or honey and stuff like that, you'll be okay, versus if you're eating, processed food all the time and not sugar. So those are the salts that I use.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you for that question, Sherry. Yeah, I mean, it is about like doing your own research, like questioning these things, that have been kind of stuffed in our throats, for lack of a better term. The processed salt has nothing in it but bad crap. It does not do the body any good. And unfortunately, it's in just about every single thing out there as far as processed foods go. So, yeah, thank you for that. And I had been talking to Tina Marie. She had been telling me she had been using salt for a long time. So there are resources out there. There is information available. And we're grateful to people like Darius who are sharing their information. But it's really important to discover things for yourself as well.
Yeah, I mean, I could give a recommendation, but like I said, this is just don't just follow it because I'm everybody, for instance, based off how much you weigh and stuff like that is going to depend on how much water you need per day. But what I do, which I've already shared as well, but I just take half a teaspoon of salt and half a liter of water. And I only drink 2 liters of water a day. So basically every liter has a teaspoon of salt in it. And that's what I'm drinking every single day. And
it's working. Yeah. And it's working. Yeah. It's doing what you want it to do. Let's go back to astral, the planes, the realms, like, even where are we? It doesn't look like a lot of the pictures that we have been given by NASA. It doesn't look like that. When you get outside and you have a look, it's not that way at all. What would you say about that, Darius?
So this is a thing, like I said before, that everybody has access to the records, especially when they take the soul out of the body and access it. When you cross over and you die, right, which you don't have to die to do this, by the way, you could leave your body and still access this. But all is known to all souls. There's no such thing as a lie. Everything's recorded, and there's no such thing as privacy. Every detail of your life is recorded here and can be accessed in the records. It's the records of all things, right? And that's including the nature of reality, where we are, what this place is. Now, when you look back in the history of spiritual people or the Mayans and way back, they all depict this as a realm. NASA and the ball and the space and the way that they're portraying the universe to be is not the way it is at all. Right. It's actually, that's the only thing that's new here. Now, I've accessed the nature of reality. I've actually been shown it when I was out of my body. I've been shown it about 3 times in the halls of a mente, which they actually show you this realm on a table. It's a table on the other side of which they show you this construct in this realm. I've also been taken to a part of the records. It's a hall where they show you all of these different realms, like pretty much on, some of them are on like puddles on the floor. Some of them are like stacked on shelves, and they look like fish bowls. Some of them look like open fish bowls, and some of them have many different dimensional spaces. Now, the best way to understand what I'm saying is this. The realm that we're in now is within a construct, right? So there's 3 things here. There's a construct, there's a realm, and multidimensional spaces. Now, the realm and the multidimensional spaces, the construct is what's containing all of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. So we're in a construct, and right now, within that construct, we are living within a realm that people call Earth. Some people call it Gaia. I will consider this as realm 1, right? Within this realm that we live in, there are multidimensional spaces within this realm. And those multidimensional spaces can be accessed through, I've accessed them through the stars. I'll also access them through the halls of mirrors, which is giving you access to all these dimensional spaces. The thing that people don't understand is that we are all so powerful that every thought that you have, quite literally, is manifesting a dimensional space within this realm that could be accessed by soul that knows how to access it. Like me taking my soul out of the body, I could access people's private thoughts. And I'm not just saying that as theoretical. This is a fact because I have experienced it numerous times and it has been proven. I'll even go back on the 31st of March, 2023. I had an out-of-body experience, and for the sake of privacy, I'll call him Mike. Mike was thinking something privately for 2 weeks. He hasn't told anybody. And I was out of my body one day, and I walked into the backyard, and I'm like, there's a tent in the backyard. And I'm like, this is Mike's tent. Mike is thinking about a tent. And I'm like, is he planning for like a wedding, or like why is this happening? So I end up waking back up, coming back into my body. And then I call him the next day and I say, Mike, are you planning for something like a wedding or a party or something? Because I had an out-of-body experience again. And I've seen that there was a tent out in the backyard. He's like, no, but I'm not planning for that, but I've been thinking about building or putting up a tent in the backyard for a spiritual practice. So, and he hasn't even told his own partner that. He's been thinking that privately. So all of your thoughts are literally creating a dimensional space within this realm that could be accessed because you are creating a field, right? And everything that you put out is manifested there. Now, there's been numerous times as well that I've also seen things taking place in real time. You also get this with near-death experience people, where if someone's on the operating table and they die, they could see things and hear things, what's going on that they can't possibly know of. I've done this many times with Mike as well, confirming with him things that he said, things that he has done, to also validate it for myself as well, that I'm seeing what's taking place at real time, as well as seeing thought forms materialize there.
That is fascinating, because that brings the question, like, so you're actually accessing the thoughts of another, but you're seeing it like in a manifestation. So
yes, you could pretty much say that I'm reading someone's mind, but it's not. It's more than that. It's a lot more than, because you're in it. It's almost like being within someone's experience in real time, where you could touch it, you could feel it, you could taste it. This is what I'm talking about with out-of-body experiences. They are more real than here. So when I'm seeing also thought forms materialize there by other people, because everybody creates a field that also creates those dimensional spaces. It's like I said, it's not just me. Everybody could access this. I have just figured out through the out-of-body state that you could directly access this and see what's taking place throughout this entire realm.
Yeah, I guess like I'm thinking about like all the people who have thoughts, because we all think, right? Like, even though a lot of them are repetitive, that means that they are manifesting in another realm. Do they stay in the other realm, or do they dissolve?
So it's not necessarily that it's not another realm. All right.
Okay.
This is where, it's to make it clear is just so people could. Its realms are. So the construct is containing the realms and the dimensional spaces. So when a realm is, all right, it's Earth number 1. And then if you want to create another realm, it would be, let's just say it's Earth number 2 or Gaia number 2. If you want to create another realm, no, actually a better way to put this is realm 1 is the 3-dimensional realm. Realm 2 is the 4th dimensional realm. Realm 5 is what people call fifth density heaven. You see? But within those realms, there could be thousands of different dimensional spaces based on what the individual soul, their field, is projecting into that realm. They create those dimensional spaces within a realm. Their thought forms become materialized on the other side. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I'm also that is also like the power of creation, the creative aspect to like we're in the physical, we have the thoughts. Now thoughts can't be located in the brain. Like you can't open up the brain and go, okay, there you can see where the memory is. Like we can trace all that kind of neurological like synapses, but you can't go, oh, there's the thoughts. Let's take that out and look at it. But the thoughts are actually somewhere. And not only are they somewhere, is that like how we would manifest here? Like, would that be like a first one of the steps that we take? Yeah.
So here, because this is still, we're still in time right now. You could access out of time, which I've accessed out of time, right? And I'll go into that as well a little bit later. But to go back to what you were saying, yes, each soul is so, we all have the same capabilities and power within us. Each soul, all of us, we are the ones that create constructs, realms, and dimensional spaces. On the other side, right, when you are out of this realm completely, out of this construct completely, when you're over there, you could view all the constructs and realms and dimensions like basically on shelves. You could call them God shelves, or like puddles on the floor that you could literally walk into and experience. Now, this is also where it goes into, in this realm, reincarnation only exists here. It doesn't exist on the other side, because on the other side, you don't forget who you are. You retain all your memory when you walk into different spaces, constructs, realms. You remember exactly who you are. So when you're over there, you could also create your own construct, realm, dimensional spaces, right? And experience whatever it is that you want, all right? So all that's the soul, that we as a soul are so powerful that we don't even fully comprehend how powerful we are in this density, because literally everything that you're thinking, you are creating a dimensional space within this realm. Now, when it comes to that time, because time doesn't exist there, not the way that we perceive it here, because it's all happening all at once over there. So here, when we think of something, we have to go through that time delay of getting it, the actions of getting it. But when you're there, as soon as you think of something, instantly, it's instantly there. It's instantly manifested there. That's the same thing. Even when you're out of your body, right? If you start thinking of something, or fearful things, or happy things, or whatever it is, you will be able to manifest a dimensional space within this realm, in the out of body state. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yeah. Because like I know that I probably didn't make much sense when I was like asking, but yeah, that explained it for me. It also like it opens up that whole being that we are powerful. You know, we do have these abilities. It is very real. And the fact that you're actually seeing like your friends' like thoughts is you're going out of your body and they are manifested somewhere. And I mean, you can fully experience it, touch it, like be there. It's I think this is really liberating.
Yeah, and it's made a lot of sense to me, because a lot of stuff that I experienced there and things that I was seeing when out of my body, I couldn't make sense of it. I was like, why am I seeing certain people do this? Because I could see, it's almost like I could see them sleeping on the bed, right? Because I'm doing this typically at night. And I could see them sleeping on the bed, but at the same time, I could see them doing something else. I'm like, why am I seeing these certain things? And from those experiences and getting the confirmation from my friends as well, that sharing with them what I'm seeing that they're doing and also their private thoughts and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, because I'm not only seeing what's taking place, like I said before, in real time, but I'm also seeing what they are, literally their focus, what they're focusing on, putting a lot of energy into. I could see that. You could also see people's secrets, if you want to put it that way, like their private things, and this is also where it goes into as well. Even on the other side, there is no judgment, because we're all naked. Like there was my Uncle Bob, when I was out of my body, like I said, he passed away. My Uncle Bob came to me, and he was actually telling me, which I'll go into the great work, and he was actually telling me about the great work, how important it is, how they call it the great work, how important it is to wake people up to the other side. Because when you wake people up to the other side, they wake up to everything else, because they stop living in a way here that is not the way that the true universe works, because this experience is so temporary. When you cross over, right, that's the eternal aspect of you. That's where you're there forever. So it's why not live in accordance to how the true universe actually works? Not only that, he actually showed me something that that I was withholding, right? I was withholding love from certain individuals here in this realm. And he was showing me that. And because you have access to so much more information over there, and memories start to pour into you, and actually it brought me to my knees in pain, because I was like, why would I do that here when I understand where I am now? Like, why would I do that? All right. And it wasn't that my uncle was judging me or any other soul was judging me on the other side. No one was judging me. You are judging yourself. There's no judger on the other side. You can't. On the other side, it is, like I said, all the pleasures of physicality with no limitations. Also, you are free to experience and do as you wish with no limitation. You can't have ultimate expression of freedom with a limitation, just like you cannot have unconditional love with a condition.
Right.
Those two go hand in hand, right? And it's the same thing of how it's on the other side. There's no one's judging you, you judge yourself. Like, what do they say? It's another biblical thing. I can't even say it. Yeah, it's the unforgivable sin is the one that you can't forgive yourself for, because you're the one that's doing all the judging.
Yeah. Well, but we don't think that. We think we're being judged, Like I had an experience, it's over a year ago, where the being that was helping me was insisting that I go up. And I didn't have any sense that I was going anywhere other than up. So when they kept saying, go up, go up, go up, I think it was a shocker that I might not have been doing that. I wasn't doing that. But once I went up, I met this being, and I recognized part of the being essence. And I felt stripped. I felt scanned. It was a waste of time trying to hide anything, because nothing was hidden in that moment.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
All is literally, and that's what I'm experiencing now, though. Like when I leave the body, nothing. All is seen, and it almost puts me like even my stuff is seen too. And it's not a bad thing. It's just the walls that we put up are gone, because every single soul could see through you, and not necessarily in judging you. It's just like, oh, I see your soul for what it is, and vice versa.
Oh no, there was no judgment. Yeah.
No,
but
not at all.
And like the humble, I actually felt humble, and like I knew that nothing was hidden, and yet I didn't feel judged. I just like felt incredibly humble. I just also liberated all at the same time.
Yeah. It's
amazing.
It is, because that's important for people to understand, because they could then go on with their life here in a better way of not necessarily being afraid of what they're, no, express yourself fully and completely. This is also one of the other agendas.
Yeah.
Like I said before, your personality is there on the other side. The only thing that changes is that you get more access to more things, but your personality is there. So when you're here, what you're taught to do is also shut those aspects of yourself down. And they call it, some people call it, shut down your ego. It's let all that fully express through. Let it all fully be that, because it's a part of you.
We're coming up on our long break, 6-minute break. Hang on to your seats, listeners. Grab a cup of tea, cup of coffee, and we will be right back. Hi, welcome back to Navigating the Truth, and I hope you grabbed your tea, your water, your coffee, and settled down, because we are now going into the second half of the show, and we are talking all things important and true. And Darius, tell people how they can contact you, how they can find you.
Yeah, so I recommend everybody just going to my website, dariusjwright.com. That's just DariusJWright.com. The reason for that is because I'm not really on a lot of social media. I mean, I'm on YouTube, but I try to stay off of as many platforms as I can, to be quite honest with you.
Oh yeah. Like, I'm still on Facebook, and I absolutely detest it. I basically just post up like the shows that are coming up on the Sunday, but it feels like too much hard work for me, and like the amount of there's a lot. Like I've seen you on YouTube, and I have seen that you have put up your website, and I think that's a great idea. It's limited. YouTube is so limited, and
you can't say you can't say a lot of things, and that's the reason why when people ask me, I just say go to my website, because everything there is uncensored, and it's actually the most authentic, purest, rawest that you're gonna hear from me. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I recommend it. Yeah. Everybody head over.
And it's I have a couple of things there on offer as well, for people that want to learn more and all those things. But it's one of the primary reasons why I find myself pulling away from a lot of the social, I have pulled away from like 90% of it. But I don't find myself listening to a lot of people anymore either, because in the past I used to, but now that I'm accessing these things through the out-of-body state, like I'm accessing the true unfiltered information that like I said, it's not just me, everybody has access to this, but it sort of makes no sense for me really, unless I'm guided to listen to somebody, to listen to other people, because I'm getting it through the out-of-body state. And it's coming through in such a pure way, not based off of, he said, she said.
Right. Well, you're taking care of yourself, like, I think by doing that, and also the truth, like they say, like, serve other people. Like, we're doing this radio show, and it is a service for others, but we truly have to serve ourselves first.
Yeah, well, this is where it goes into. This is this is where a lot of people will be like, "Oh, how dare you?" But this is where it even goes into the awake community, or the spiritual community, which that's apparently what I'm coupled in with. A lot of people are on this heavy push to be service to others and not service to self. And I'll tell you why I highly disagree with that. and how it's inverted and how to look at this better, right? For each individual soul. When you are, this is also another agenda to constantly get you away from focusing on yourself and awakening these abilities within you to access this information. When you are constantly service to others, you are always pushing and projecting your energy outwards and not inward. And all the information is held within inside of you. Now, it's almost like, I use this, all right? How could you love someone else if you don't love yourself? It's the same thing. If you are always service to others and not service to self, how are you really going to help other people when you're not focusing on yourself? You cannot love somebody unless you love yourself. And people need to start focusing on themselves, inverting that, being quotation selfish to themselves, because they need to work on themselves, work on the issues that they have on themselves, focus on themselves, awakening these things, getting access to these things. So then when they do share to the collective, the service to others, they are speaking and sharing from a place of having. The same thing with, they actually love themselves so they can love somebody else. Now it's the same thing with me sharing this. I'm speaking from a place of experience, not just what somebody else has said. So there's a difference, and that only comes from going within and inward, focusing on the self first. Because then you could share that information accordingly to the collective to help them much better. Yeah.
Can you agree more? Yep. And there has been a big push. That's also part of the dogma of this realm, is like not to self-hate, like there's so many reasons that they give you to hate yourself. So it becomes like this block that people have, and just have to blow that out of the water. It's not serving anyone.
Yeah, no, and it's also, this is also where it goes. I've shared this as well, but I'll share it to the listeners here, is that when people say we're all the same, and I say that many times as well, we are the same, but at the same time, that's also, we are so different from one another, you could argue that we're not even the same to begin with. And the reason why I say that is because we all come from the same spark, essentially, right? But we are so uniquely different that we're not even like each other in many aspects. And when people find themselves hating themselves or depression and all these things, and it's typically because they are not coming from a place of truly loving themselves, their soul, who they are, that personality. When you leave to the other side, that's the part of you that no other soul has. And that's the aspect of yourself that should be fully expressed here without fully expressed unapologetically. Right? Yeah. And so,
Yeah, absolutely. And platforms like this, like, we can talk, whereas like there has been this huge push to shut people up, to close them down. Like, well, we've seen it with the past 3 years, just the amount of censorship that has been going on, and the propaganda being off the charts. Like, everything is propaganda now. There's no truth to be found, like in our media and a lot of it. It's not. No.
Yeah, well, this is where it's going into, like, a lot of souls that are confused right now. They are either listening to you, me, or people like us. But most importantly, it's not just always, it's listening, but then also tuning into their instincts, right? So you could listen to me and be like, okay, I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah, that feels right. That feels good. Nah, I don't agree with that. That's you. That's people tuning in. And when people have shut this down, and this is why when you're out of your body, it's so heightened. It's like there's no such thing as a lie, because you could just know it instantly. You could see it. All right.
Yeah.
But that instinct, just follow it. And typically it's always going to lead you. It will always lead you in the right direction if you follow it and not shut it down. So,
yeah, it's empowering. And the whole, like I get what you were saying. Like, you hear it a lot, like we're all one. The truth of it is, there is a connection to each other, but it's no what has been being pushed by New Age, or like what, oh, we're all one, and like let's all sing happy songs, and your individuality, who you actually are, remains with you, and you are how would I say that? You are respected and you are appreciated for that. Like in these other realms, you know, there's no like, oh, you need to be like me, or you have to like say things a certain way. There's none of that. It's not real.
No, this is where, like, some people may try to lump me in with the new age love and light, and I will dismantle that very quickly.
Yeah.
Nothing like me, because the new age, I like to call it the new age love and light propaganda BS. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I call it. Because the best way to explain this, when you're over on the other side, there is no limitation on you to express yourself in whatever way you choose to express yourself. And in the New Age love and light crowd, they think in order to access the higher realms, you must be in love and light. And that is not true, because to say that a soul that has no limitations to fully express itself, in order to access this, you must be in this, is putting a massive limitation on the soul to express itself in whatever way it chooses to express itself. You cannot have ultimate expression of freedom with a condition, and that is including putting a condition on how a soul chooses to express itself, regardless.
Yeah, well said. Yep. Yeah, but it is like the deconstruction, you know, the lies, the religions, like wherever we go. Like I got sucked into the New Age, but there was always a part of me that was like kind of going, wait a minute, wait a minute. But there was times when I would go along with things, but it never turned out good for me.
No, the thing is too, I got sucked into the New Age too, like the New Age stuff and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And but it wasn't until I actually started doing the things that I'm doing, I'm like, wait a second, it's nothing like what they're saying. Like the silver cord stuff. I could tell you this. I've
never seen that. Yeah, I never saw that.
Hundreds of times that I left my body, I've never seen, not once, any silver cord. It doesn't exist. And I feel like that was a people said that to people that have fear, like the whole fear thing. You're always going to be attached to it.
Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's where I think that came from, because I personally have never experienced that. I've never seen it. And I've looked plenty of times. I even touched my physical body sleeping on the bed with my soul looking for it. It's not there.
No, I've never seen it.
The only thing that you have when you leave, there is a magnetic pull to the body, right? And when you start to come out of your body, if you start to have anxiety or fear, it wakes up the body and sucks you back in. Now, this is where we'll also go into like the whole magnetic field stuff, like, the dome, firmament, all those things, how there's a magnetic grid over this realm, which prevents and suppresses the soul from truly accessing these things at will, as how it's done on the other side. I've noticed through countless times of leaving my body, the quickest way to do it is to pretty much lower my brainwave to delta, which then lowers the magnetic field of my body, the electrical current that glues the soul within. When I do that and put my body into deep sleep, essentially shutting it down, the soul could freely exit. It's much more easier to exit. And it's only when you wake up the body, you get sucked back in. And it's typically from fear, and there's nothing to be afraid of. And that fear will come down to typically the fear of death. And that's like the number one fear that a lot of people have, is the fear of dying. And it should not be feared, because there literally is no such thing as death. Right. And a lot of people ask me, well, how do you know, Darius? There's no such thing as death. Well, I've left my body many times. Yeah. Your personality, your consciousness still exists outside of the body. There's nothing to fear. And that's in that fear. When you have that fear, it shuts you off. That's actually the number one thing that shuts you off from everything. It shut me off from everything. When I was first experiencing these things, when I had fear, it stopped me from leaving my body, because as soon as I got out of my body, I would go into fear. Oh, I'm dying. And then I would be sucked right back in my body. And I'd be like, wait a second, I didn't die. I just experienced something that was profound. Yeah. So the fear shuts you off from accessing what they call the records of all things. So you will not be able to access all of the stuff that you have a God-given right to access if you command it and demand it to be so. But it's almost like the doorways, the door closes for you when you are always in fear. So the fear is important, and it's the number one thing that they use as well. Like, think about it. It's the number one fear that we all have is what, not me anymore, but it's the number one fear that a lot of people hold, is the fear of death. And it should not be feared at all. No. Shouldn't.
No, but it has to do with the propaganda, the religions, like the whole construct here. You know, it's brainwashing in a sense, you know, directing people away from who they truly are. And no, there is no death. There is no nothing to be afraid of. Absolutely nothing to be afraid of at all.
Yeah, and when the first time that I got rid of the fear, I'll tell you this: when I got rid of the fear the first time, that's actually when my uncle presented himself to me. So, like, it's almost like, even with people that do near-death experience research, typically the souls that are in fear when they die, it's almost like they're put in what I call the waiting room, right? Which is a temporary space that they're in until their energy calms down and they get rid of the fear. And then they get access to everything else. They get access to, all right, this is why you're here. Oh, this is the way things work. So it does block you off from everything. And when you get rid of it, beings will start to contact you. I mean, I've been contacted by numerous amounts of beings. I've been contacted by the Black Elves. I've been contacted by gnomes, my dead relatives. I've been contacted by, or have seen as well, right? What people would say, gray aliens, the tall, skinny ones. Also beings that are, like, I remember popping out of my body, seeing, all right, imagine this, popping out of your body and seeing about 16-foot tall beings standing right by your bed looking at you. Yep. I've also seen a being like where they don't even show their face. They're like in a hood. Yep. That's where I was also taken to one of the underground pyramids to be, which is underneath water, which I was actually shown one of the exit portals out of this realm. Now, that also goes into, like I've talked about way in the beginning, the dimensional spaces, right? The stars in your thoughts give you access to the dimensional spaces within this realm. But also, there is a core, which people call inner earth or whatever like that. It's not really inner earth, but there's a core below this realm, which is an exit portal, which will exit you out of this realm into other realms, et cetera. But I also want to say as well, there is a point of no return, just like in a near-death experience, there's a point of no return. And I just said, get rid of fear, right? And I'm not saying this to then put people back in fear, but there always is a point of no return. And it's not necessarily that you will be tricked into, any of this stuff. No, I've been presented many times through beings, different portals that you get access, dimensional spaces, all those things, where I have been told this is the point of no return, right? And there is a point there, and I've never really obviously didn't go that far because I know what that means, but that's also there as well. I wanted to mention that.
Yeah. If we, I'm also kind of, I'm really, really curious. Like, if a being had said to me, that's the point of no return, chances are I'm going to go there. And so part of me kind of wonders about that, because we are, we're here, and there's a purpose to being here.
I mean, I'll probably get into that into the next part of this, but there is a big part of being here. And it's one of the reasons I've also been explained that by a being named Celeste explained that to me, and has shown me that the completion of this realm, and how even though when you're over on the other side, right, it's the eternal you. And even though I was there many times, right, even taken back to the beginning of all things, when Celeste showed me what was going to take place in the completion of this realm, it adds to your soul like more than half of all your experiences. And even though I've experienced all these things, I've gained access to all of this information, I still cannot fully comprehend. I did when I was with her, how much this truly adds to you. It's almost like when you enter this realm, like I've gotten back my first memory of entering this realm, and it's like a pond. You enter it through water, right? And it's your memories start to bleed through this realm. That's the memory that I got. And I jumped down into this place, and everything started to bleed through. It's almost like when you leave, you're not only leaving, like I said, because all is known. It's like you're not only leaving with your experiences, but you are leaving with every other soul's experiences as well. All that comes within the soul when you leave. Like you get everything from this realm. Every experience from each soul, every record, it then fully comes into your soul.
Wow. Okay, we're coming up on our last 3-minute break, and hold on to your seats, listeners. We will be right back. Hi, welcome back to Navigating the Truth, and I'd like to thank the listeners who have chosen to listen in today. Thank you very much, and a big thank you to Tina Marie, our producer and owner of this radio station. A big thank you, and a welcome back to Darius J Wright, who is sharing his truth with us, which is very, for me personally, it is just so refreshing. And Darius, where were we before the break?
So I was talking about Celeste and also the completion of this realm of what she showed me. Now I did pretty much explain it, but I could go into more.
Yeah, well, like in your bio, like it was saying that this was an experience that happened to you when you were around 16. You were contacted by a being named Celeste, and I'm thinking that you were aware prior to that meeting, because like you It says that in your bio anyway, but that is the sense that I have, that that it opened you to a point where a being like that, that was the next step.
Yeah. Now, I've been awake to this stuff. Like, I won't share too much with this, but even when I was a child, there's things that I've shut down as a child because it would even freak out my mother in particular. Things that we were doing as kids, like me and my brother and sisters were doing as kids, which they could have created like a documentary on it, to be quite honest with
wow.
you.
Mm-hmm.
But some stuff we would tell my mom, like, we're seeing this being, and he's downstairs, and he's actually coming up, and we're, as kids, we're afraid of all this stuff, and my mom would have been essentially saying, no, you guys are just making this up. And then I remember one night we ran into her room, and then she opened up the door, and then she slammed the door, and she's like, grabbed the dresser because she actually saw the beings that we were bringing into this realm. Like I'm talking about accessing the multidimensional space. When you're younger as a kid, especially if they are not shut down, we could do that physically, is what I'm saying. Like those spaces could be done in the physical vessel, and they're shut down through so much stuff. I mean, like I said, look at the aggressive attack that they just put on the health, and just for things to work properly. Now, fast forward, I say that because it also fast forwards to 16 as well. So you can imagine I wasn't just a typical teenager. I was already awake and aware to a lot of things, and already frustrated at that age, saying, I do not want to be here. This is my last time here. All those things, right? Yeah. That night is when I was taken. I made an ultimatum that night, which is basically, show me why I'm here, what this place is, or else I will figure it out, because the next day I will take myself out, and I will figure it out regardless. So share it with me now, or share it with me on the other side. I'm going to get it regardless. That same night, that was a pretty serious,
it's intense
demand too. Yeah. And that same night, I was showing everything. I was taken back to the beginning of all things. And back when I was 16, I didn't really, even when I originally shared this story, I've gotten so much more clarity on it now based off of the numerous out-of-body stuff that I've had and accessing the information. But I was taken back to the black space. What Celeste showed me back in the black space is the beginning of all things. Now, people believe that the universe is light. It's actually the quite opposite. The beginning of all things is actually what they call the void on the other side. The void is a black space, and it's black because it holds all the color of light. The universe of light was birthed from the black space, the void. It is very peaceful, very empty. Like, it's empty, but you could feel everything at the same time. It's the place where I have my first memory. It's the place where all things are created from, is that space. So when a lot of people go back to the beginning of things, the very, very beginning of all things, you will be presented with the void, which is, like I said, it's the creation.
It's black. Yeah. That Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
No, I was just going to agree. I have experienced like the blackness. I have, and it is very, very calm, very peaceful. There was nobody else there. It was just me. Yeah, that's essentially what it's like. You are just yourself, but you could tune into everything at the same time. Now, she showed me that. She also showed me, back then, she showed me all the realms, which now I've already told you, the construct, the realms, the multidimensional spaces. I had no idea at the time that that's what she was showing me, until I have gotten more information through the years of what she was showing me. But the realms, she showed me those, and she was showing me how
on the other side, you could tune into all of these realms all at the same time. And the way that it felt to me when I was tuning into all these spaces is almost like if my soul was going to explode, because you could tune in and feel everything happening all at once. She also shared with me how time works, right? And that was also clarified with me even more so by being this year was in the out-of-body state, was showing me how time works. Now, the way that she showed it to me at 16 is she was fast forwarding through time like on this glass. It looked like crystal glass, and she put a hand on it and she started to move it, and she could access certain parts of the records and time as well. Now, the way that they view time there, and a better way to explain it for people to understand it, is this is how a being has showed it to me as well. Imagine a deck of cards, right? And this being showed me how time worked through a deck of cards. This is not Celeste. This is through another experience. And she said she took the deck of cards and she spread them out on the table. And she said, this is how you guys view time. You guys view time as events. You go from one card to the next card to the next card to the next card. It's a linear process. And then she said, this is how we view it. And she took those deck of cards and she put them all together. And when you look down from the top, a portal opened, like there was like this bluish portal that opened, and you could see everything happening all at once, all at the same time. And that's a better way, instead of what Celeste was showing me with the glass, like that, you know, because how they view it is it's all happening. And that has been clarified with me more and more with what I'm accessing with time, and also the dimensional spaces, how I'm able to see thoughts outside of my body, how I'm also able to see certain, like there's a bending of time that I'm also seeing as well happening in the out-of-body state, because it's all happening. And it's when you are out of your body, when you are over on the other side, you exist outside of time because time no longer governs you. You are not governed by anything. So you are able to create at will, do things at will instantly. So she shared with me that. And what she shared as she fast forward through the time as well, certain event markers were going to take place, which led to the completion of this realm. And essentially what she was showing me is a big celebration, essentially, like that's the way she showed me. She was showing me this is where this realm is, and then showed me where it was going to be. And it was the final completion of everything. And what I've come to understand, to clarify that better, is everything that has been experienced, or another way to say, everything that could be experienced has been experienced by some soul within this realm. Yeah. There is nothing new to learn, hear, or do. When you take into consideration all of the souls that are here, there's nothing new to learn. All of the information and experiences that this realm could share has been experienced. And all those experiences by each individual soul goes into the records of all things. And those records could be accessed by all souls on the other side. They could even be accessed now when you take the soul out of the body. Yeah, it's the full completion of this. And when you leave as well, based off what I was saying previously before the break, is that it's almost like all of those experiences through all the records of this realm, everything comes with you, adds every aspect of it. So that's what I was showing with Celeste, and also time as well.
I like that. I had a hypnosis practice, like, I don't even know how long ago it was, almost 30 years ago. And that was one of the first things that happened, was people would come for past life regression. That was kind of popular in the New Age kind of thing. And what struck me almost immediately was they were describing lives. Like, I was just the guide that got them there, and then it was their experience. And it was stacked. Like, they were living lives, they were dying, but they were still living another life. And it was really like, it confused me for a long time, because it wasn't just one person that it happened with. It happened with multiple people who were experiencing multiple lives all happening at the same time.
Yeah, it's all happening. That's how they view it on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, like you could I've actually experienced 2 times in the out of body state so far that I know was related to time, of the time blending and warping, seeing multiple things taking place at the same time, essentially.
Wow. It's kind of wild, isn't it? Like, just how much has been obfuscated, blocked, veiled, like, from the beings who are here. And it, like, we went into like the health, air bodies, like, all the waves, like microwaves, electronic contraptions that are all around the planet here, for lack of a better word, is interfering. So it's almost like they're at war with us in a sense, but I refuse to like kind of play that game. Yeah.
When you when you awaken certain things and they start to awaken more and awaken more, they don't want you. They want you to be controlled. So when you start accessing these things, you become an uncontrollable soul, especially when you get rid of the fear of death. Because when you get rid of that, how could you be controlled? Like,
right.
When you get rid of that most basic root fear, you can't be controlled. Not only that, when you start accessing these things, you become an uncontrollable soul. And that's the thing that they want to do. They want to keep people suppressed. They want to keep people to also believe, due to not tuning into their intuition, to just write these things off, these experiences, instead of saying, oh, that's just something that, he's been training for this for years. I cannot possibly do that. When you actually can. Like I said, it's not everybody could do this, and it's all accessible, and all the information is there and is freely available to all souls that desire to truly access it. And they don't want people to know that, because once people know that and do that and wake up to the other side, which is the great work, they literally wake up to everything, because all is known and there's no such thing as a lie at that point. Nothing's
hidden. Yeah, there is no hidden. This is a realm where they like to hide things. Yeah. Well,
and that they've hidden a lot too. I mean, even the past of this realm, like, even with the halls of Amente stuff, like I've been showing aspects of the true history over there, which is nothing like what they show here with the pyramids and stuff like that. So
right. And the halls of Amente, they moved them, right? Like, they didn't stay in the same dimensional space. Like, it moved, like, more than once it moved. And
sorry to cut you off, but
no, it's okay.
How you access the halls of Amente. Now you could do this physically. You will not reach the halls of Amente, because, like I said before, they're in a different dimensional space. You need to take the soul out of the body, or one day will be possible to take the body with you, but the body needs to be able to awaken fully and completely to all those dormant abilities that are shut down, what people call junk DNA and stuff like that. But right now you could access the halls of Mente through an out-of-body state and access all the information. Now, when you access the halls of Mente, in hindsight, before sharing this, when I first experienced this, I had no idea what this place was. I didn't even know what the halls of Mente were. I thought it was like hell or something like that. So, but when I first accessed it and was showing it, how you access it is the middle pyramid. It's directly in the center, middle down. When you go down in the middle, you get access to 3 halls. There's 3 halls to the halls of Amente, the middle one being the longest and deepest. Some of these hallways have open door passages, which will give you access to sacred items. Also, it will show you a room, which I've been showing. It's like a big round table, which shows you this realm, this construct on a flat, like, just a flat table, stuff like that, and how they view this realm. They could turn it, they could zoom into it. All those things are there as well. But that's how you access it. And when I woke up from that out of body state, I'm like, what is the halls of Amente? I Google searched it and how it is. And it was like that confirmation again, So.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's important. The confirmation is important because I like for the longest time, I thought a lot of it was my imagination. But now I know, I just know that it was not my imagination at all. And I think what you're sharing is really helpful. The focus on the physical body, the health of the physical body. Also, the focus on the self, the loving the self, and allowing ourselves to let go what it is that is suppressing us.
Yeah, it's because it's all important. This is a thing when you get tied into the New Age crowd, the spiritual crowd, all these different communities, is they're not really understanding the importance of all things. They understand the importance of one thing, but then that one thing is extremely distorted into giving your power away. The thing is, a lot of these practices that are taught anymore are not in a place of truly awakening the soul to stand in its power. It's to give it away to something outside of themselves, give it away to a higher authority, all these things. And it's it's designed that way because it's designed to make you submissive and passive, just the way that the government and the system is set up is designed to make you submissive and passive and under dominion of somebody else. How is there any different when we talk about or I talk about accessing the other side and then you saying, well, there's a being greater and grander than me? That's no different than the system that we have here. There is no being greater and grander than you. We are all the same. And instead of giving your power away and doing it within and accessing fully and completely who and what we really are, where we are, the nature of reality, you become uncontrolled. And that's the thing that's most feared, because when all souls start to do that, then we all understand the true power that we all hold within. And not one thing is missing. The health of the body is vital in this realm, just like on the other side. Your frequency is important and vital for it not to have some sort of effect on your soul there. All these things are important, and none of them should be overlooked, essentially.
Yeah, or neglected. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. This has been a really awesome show, Darius, and I thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom and your experience with the listeners. And hopefully you have given them something to think about or something to strive for in some sense, and also tips on like taking better care of themselves. I think it's important, all this, the truth is important. Like, how can it not be? And we are powerful. We are not without power. We don't need a savior. We don't need anybody to come and save us. We're what we're waiting for, right?
Pretty much. And like I said before, it's not necessarily, well, when I say this as well, like, listen to what I'm saying and use that as guidance. But eventually this will lead you, it should anyways, lead you down a path of being fully and completely empowered, right? That's the whole point. Otherwise, you're always just shifting from giving the power away, whether that's the government or to some being on the other side, to Darius or whatever, the path should always lead to fully and completely a soul standing in its pure, unfiltered expression of self.
Well said. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, all these messages of sit, wait, it's all nonsense. Don't sit, don't wait. We have to fight, you know, like, and I don't mean like physically take to the streets, like, and fight, but we have to fight. You have to, stand, you know?
Just do. I like to use the concept as well. Like it's no different. Like, if you wanted to change the way, it's pretty poor. Well, it's a good example, but if you wanted to change the way your body looks, right? Mm-hmm. And you do that through physical exercise, what a lot of people have become accustomed to is to just sit down and think about it, mm-hmm. and not actually getting up and doing it. The same thing applies when accessing the other side and awakening the dormant abilities through the out-of-body state and accessing these things. It's not something that you just sit passively and think about. It has to be active.
Yeah, be active, people. And can you believe it? We are at the end of our show. And I want to thank the listeners, and we are out of here, and I will be back next week. And thank you, Darius. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Navigating the Truth, a show that will inspire you to transform the world around you, including your health. For more information on the show, Navigating the Truth, and the host, Caroline Bell Tumblety, as well as services she offers, please visit her website at souliam.org. That's SOULIAM.org.
It's as simple as that.
Navigating the Truth live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
I see incredible potential here.
Stop being corrupted by the mainstream media and keep your head.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled feed of lies. Until next week, of course. This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.